The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Stage Door Show. Tonight, we're so happy to have back with us an amazing talent in the world of country music. She's a prolific songwriter and singer, and as I said the last time she was on, she's taken Nashville by storm. So please welcome back to the show, Ash Taylor. Ash, thanks for being back with us.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, I know we talked about this last time, but I want to get back into this because you're from Bakersfield, California. And a lot of people might not know this, but Bakersfield, I mean, there's a lot of people from Bakersfield area that, huge in country music. And these were your inspirations, I guess, from being in Bakersfield before moving to Nashville, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anyone, who's listening who maybe doesn't know, my hometown of Bakersfield, California is known as the original Nashville. And so back in like the 60s and the 70s, people like Buck Owens and Merle Haggard were basically creating what is known as the Bakersfield sound. And so that's kind of what I grew up around, and just something that I guess was just very implanted into me. So yeah, proud to be from such a little farm town out in the middle of nowhere, but that has just such great history and such great roots.
I know that you met Clay Mills, who's a lot of people that he wrote for, and that friendship, I understand kind of helped bring you to Nashville, right? And kind of get that bug to go out there and kind of start your career out there.
Oh, it definitely did. Yeah, I was basically, just a kid in my bedroom writing terrible songs and trying to figure out how to be better. And I met Clay through this thing called Songtown USA, which is like a online songwriting community. And man, we just hit it off and we developed a friendship. And after a while, he told me, he was like, "You're not gonna do anything writing songs in your bedroom in Bakersfield." I mean, and so he offered me an internship. My first year here in Nashville, I was able to intern with Clay, and man, did I learn a lot about just songwriting, the business, and everything. But yeah, so Clay Mills is really who brought me here, and was just very grateful to him for his kindness and just for opening that door for me and getting me here to Nashville. And it was not an easy one. When I made the decision to basically move to Nashville, I had never even seen it before, never visited, never been, but I knew that's where everyone says you have to go. And so when Clay gave me that offer, I literally sold everything I owned, and I just jumped on a plane and I came out here. And other than Clay, I didn't know anyone, so I slept in my car in the backseat of a Chrysler 06 PT Cruiser. Eventually I would meet people and sleep on their couches, and I figured out how to get a job, and how do you do this and how do you do that. So it was some people would say that's probably a dumb decision, but it is probably the best decision I've ever made, and I definitely don't regret that decision to move out here and just kind of give everything up, jump on a plane and go for nothing.
And the other thing about Nashville, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear from almost everybody is how supportive the town of Nashville is, regardless of the genre of music that you're playing or writing. It's unlike, there's always competition no matter where you go, but it seems like in Nashville, instead of trying to outdo each other, they try to help each other. So it's almost like a committee, things are done by committee as opposed to like kind of leaving you out on your own.
No, I would totally agree with that. I don't think there's anything like the community here in Nashville. I mean, literally, it doesn't matter what genre you do or whatever. Everyone in this town is creative, whether you do music, or you're an artist or a guitar player or an audio guy. Maybe you paint murals all over the city. There's radio and film and television. There's so many forms of art here, and everyone that lives here is such a creative, and we really do take care of our own. I mean, I literally would meet people, when I first came to town, and they were so kind and so welcoming, and everyone tried to help me and give me advice. And when they found out like my situation, they'd be like, "Okay, I got a couch, come sleep on my couch, and hey, let me introduce you to this person, and let's write, and have you done this?" And I mean, everyone was so kind and so helpful, and that's the one thing I love about Nashville. And I think some people here may say that that's a dying thing, but I think it's up to artists like myself to literally reach behind me and pull up the next person and kind of repay that kindness and keep that going, because I think that is what makes Nashville so incredibly special, for sure.
And I think unlike a lot of towns, Nashville, you might hear a name that you've never heard of before, but you may have heard every single song that person wrote for whoever else, because it's such a big songwriting town. So you're also a performer, so people know you from performing as well. But talk about the amount of song. I mean, because songwriting in Nashville is I think it's huge. But you also have, every time I see pictures of I don't know, is it Broad Street or Broadway?
Broadway.
Yeah, I mean there's club after club after club. It almost looks like Bourbon Street in New Orleans in a way, where there's club upon club, like one after the other. So it almost gives you an ever-ending place to kind of show your craft in a way. I mean, is that really the case where you can try out your new songs at whatever club, because there's so many clubs there? I mean, does that make it easier for a musician to show their craft?
There's a lot of places that do writers' nights or writers' rounds, and that's a very Nashville thing. And that's everything from a lot of the bars and, of course, places like the Bluebird and, the Listening Room and bigger venues down to just little dive bars. And always so appreciative of people like that, because for whether you're an artist like myself or a songwriter, that's where we get to go out and play original music for people, and they're there to listen to original music, and it's very well received. And that's also how you get to meet new writers and new people in town, and it's just a great networking event. All of those bars and everything, that is I'm going to play Wagon Wheel and all the Broadway standards of kind of cover songs. It's been a year on Broadway, and played at pretty much every one of those bars down the road. And that's a for me, I like to write my own songs, and I like to sing my own songs, and I like to be an artist. That's what I love to do. And so for me, I don't usually like to do a lot of covers or cover gigs anymore. But God bless the people that go down there every day on Broadway and fight the traffic and fight the crowds and get up on stage for 4 hours and put on a hell of a show. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, but man, I tell you, if you like to write songs, or if you're thinking about writing songs, I feel like just the community here in Nashville is just so great about that. When I moved to town, I actually moved here to be a songwriter. I had no intentions of being an artist or anything. And after I was here for a while, a lot of people were like, "Hey, you're an artist," and I was like, "Really? Well, how do you do that? What does that look like?" And it kind of put me on my path that I'm on now. And, now that I am an artist and I've kind of gotten that under my feet, it's this is definitely where I fit, and there's no better way for me. I mean, this is just, I love doing interviews like this, and I love touring, and I love, the whole creative process. Not just writing songs. I love everything. All the details from merch to websites to business. I really enjoy that kind of a lifestyle. So, I'm glad I kind of stumbled upon it, but I owe that to my songwriting community. So,
hey, it's Dave from the Stage Door Show. Have you ever wanted a digital business card that would speak for you? Well, let me introduce you to TalkingVCard. Imagine this, a business card that doesn't just sit in somebody's wallet, but actively introduces you, shares your latest work, or even a special message. That's what TalkingVCard is all about. It's modern, environmentally friendly. It has been an absolute game changer for networking in this digital age. Now here's the most exciting part. For a limited time, you can get lifetime ownership of your very own TalkingVCard for only $99. Plus, to ensure you're maximizing its potential, they're offering a free consultation to help supercharge your brand. As many of you know, TalkingVCard is a proud VIP sponsor of our show, and I've been using it personally. The feedback has been absolutely amazing. For everyone tuned in right now, if you're looking to make a lasting impression and elevate your brand, I genuinely recommend giving TalkingVCard a try. There's a unique link on our show notes that'll take you straight there. And remember, maybe the next voice somebody hears from a digital card will be yours. Stay creative and stay connected. TalkingVCard. We'll talk about writing music, because I've talked to a lot of musicians, and they have different processes, I guess, to write music. But do you ever just pick up the guitar and come up with a melody first, or do you have poems or things that you write words first? I mean, what usually comes first for you, the lyrics or the melody?
For sure, one thing is, even if the melody or if a chord progression or if something like that comes first, I like to know where I'm going. And so for me, I'm a big thing of, if I find something that's cool, I'm like, what is this? What is the vibe? What is this song about? What is whatever? And so then I keep a huge running list in my phone of song ideas and lyrics and all that. But for me, I kind of find it hard to just jump in my car and drive if I don't know where my end point is. So I love to just get like a good title, a good hook, and then be able to write to that, to have that end goal in mind and just kind of be able to map out the song and map out, especially the story. I think in country music, so many of our songs are story songs. And so if you know where you're going, you're able to go back and then be able to tell that story properly with a beginning and a middle and an end and everything. And so to me, I think the idea is probably the first thing that has to come, and then everything else I can kind of figure out from there.
Do you ever have like writer's block, or you ever get a chance to kind of have to put it aside, and just take a week to say, just try to put it all aside and try to rejuvenate your brain? And sometimes I think creative people sometimes almost have to take some time out. Otherwise it can get frustrating because you're not getting the ideas, or you almost have to get inspired by something first. Do you ever run into that?
I don't run into that too often, but I think it kind of depends. If I'm writing a song for myself, I usually know what it is I want to say. And like I said, I usually have the title and the hook. And for me, that's very smooth sailing, because it's like, well, this is what I want to say and this is how I want to say it. And so it's rare for that situation that I would run into writer's block. Sometimes though, I still do write for other people. So maybe I'm in the room just as a songwriter and there's another artist and, we're writing for them and for, their project that's coming out and all of that. Sometimes, then writer's block can definitely be a thing, because you're kind of, for me, I'm forcing myself to get out of my own head and kind of figure out what this person's wanting to say and how do we do this. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need a break, and I also think for me, one of the big things is I would much rather a song take me 10 years or 20 years to write and just have it be a great song than just write one song that's not very good. I could have one great song or I could have 100 terrible songs. So I try to not put so much pressure on myself. So if I'm feeling it, great. But if I'm just like, man, I don't feel like this is good. I don't feel like this is like where this story goes or where this needs to be. I'm just like, let's take a break. Let's take a walk. Let's grab some lunch and let's come back to it with fresh eyes and fresh ears. And it always makes a big difference. It really does. Yeah,
100%. You're also named one to watch by the Nashville Songwriters Association International, and you also won an International Songwriters Award. So talk about that in 2021, right?
Yeah. I did win the Songwriters Award in 2021 for a song that I wrote called Cake, which is off of my first EP, Bakersfield, which came out in 2019. And Cake was again, talking about story songs, I was dating this guy at the time, many years ago. I'm now a happily married woman and have a wonderful, amazing husband, who actually is my band leader. He plays lead guitar with me, and, we travel the world getting to do what we love together, and I couldn't have asked for a better guy. But I dated a lot of jerks before I found the good one, and this guy I was dating was just, like I said, a big jerk, and it was my birthday, and he stood me up on my birthday. And so I was, sitting there with some friends and they're like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I don't know. I just want a man to look at me like I look at Cake. And we all started laughing and I was like, there's a song somewhere in there. So the next day I broke up with the guy and I wrote that song. And, I wrote it kind of as a joke and just thought it'd be funny and it would be clever and, we'll get some laughs out of it. But I played it one time at a show and then everyone requested it. So I feel like that song is a crowd favorite, and then it won a World Songwriting Award, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I guess it just goes to show, sometimes I think we can, as songwriters, get in our head to be like, you got to write this really ground-shattering, breaking, serious song, and sometimes that's great, but sometimes I think people just want to laugh. I think if they can relate to it, and I'm sure I'm not the only girl who, had a guy, stand her up, and it's just about being relatable. But yeah, man, I love writing songs and winning awards, and I was named one to watch by the NSAI, which is the Nashville Songwriters Association, many times over. And I really appreciate that. I put a lot of time and a lot of work and effort into trying to every day wake up and be a better songwriter and really kind of work on that craft. And some days I feel like maybe I'm getting closer to that goal, and some days not, but I still wake up and I try. So anytime I feel like you get recognized, it's humbling, it's honoring, I just really appreciate it. And glad that they think my work is worthy of it, I guess. So I love writing songs though.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think songwriting has got to be one of those most gratifying things that you can do as an artist, to have to your vision, to have that come to life and to be able to share that with the world and have an award because of it. And sometimes it's the ones you don't anticipate or you don't really think about that, it's going to get you right. And
because when I write a brand new song and maybe I don't have it fully down and memorized and all that, and I get up on stage to play it, I'm not going to do that at like some big show. I'm going to do that at a writer's round here in Nashville, and I'm going to test it out on the crowd and see how people react. And that is the best indication that you could ever ask for. Because if they like it at a writer's round, they'll love it at a big show, So it's really humbling. But yeah, and I'm playing some rounds and stuff that are coming up. And this past month, like for example, I've been writing a lot of new material. So for myself as an artist, I just wrote 12 brand new songs just this past month. So it's like, cool, okay. Now I don't always write 12 songs a month for myself, but I was really on a roll, and my mind was in this creative writing space, and they came out, and some of them I'm like, wow, I think these are really awesome. But here's the deal, I don't really know until I go play them for people. And so that's one thing I'm really excited about. It's like, man, I got some rounds coming up and I'm going to play all new songs, and we figure out which ones stick, and which songs maybe don't do well, and that's all right, but which ones are the next cake. And for me too, being a songwriter, but then also getting to be an artist, my favorite thing out of everything is when people can sing it back to you. I remember not too long after Cake came out on my first EP, I played this really big show up in New York. It was probably like the biggest show I'd ever played at that point. There was a couple thousand people there, and it was at this college. It was at a university, and I show up, man, and everyone on the bill was a rapper or like a rock band, and I come out there, this country kid, and I did it acoustic. It was me and my husband playing guitar with me, and man, we did not fit in. We were country as hell. I don't know how this show is gonna go over. Okay, man, I got up on stage, and there were so many people that knew all the words to all of my songs. Every song I played, they knew the words to. And when I played Kate, and man, I tell you what, every one of those people, I swear to God, they sang back to me, and it almost knocked me over. It was like one of those moments, because it's not just about them like knowing the words. It's like I created this thing that's in the world, right? And whether that came out of a good place or a bad place, you get it, and you clearly connect with it, and now you're going to sing it back to me, and it's just a moment that it's like I don't think I can put that into words. And it makes every roadblock that you run into being an artist, like when people tell you no, or you're trying to figure out how do you release this song and do this, and you're tired and you've worked 150 hours, because that's your life as an independent artist. That's my life, and I'm happy with that. But man, when it gets hard, you think about moments like that, and you're like, you know what, it's worth it. Yeah.
100%. Bruce Hall from REO Speedwagon said the same thing you did. He said the first time when they first started, as a band, and the first time the crowd sang back the song that he helped write, he said it was a spiritual experience. He said you can't even describe it, in words, because you thought these words and people are singing them back to you, and it's like a surreal experience. It had to have been just the craziest thing ever. That's great.
Yeah, no, it really is. And like I said, I think too, the thing that I've really just come to know is, sometimes, whether, just in music in general, sometimes you get really, really highs. Sometimes you get lows. Sometimes you have a lot of money. Sometimes you don't. It's just like life. You go up and you go down. But I think moments like that are what just makes everything so worth it. Because at that point, it's just not about you anymore. It's about them. It's about music, the power of music. It's like, that's what it's all about, man.
So the music becomes a fabric of their life, and it's, for the rest of their lives. That's amazing. In fact, I think one thing that people can agree on, most human beings, that it's that one song that makes you think of whatever it is, either a relationship, a breakup, it reminds you of your mom, your grandma, whatever. I mean, there's certain music out there that it just triggers, I think, most of us. I think you'd be lying if you said that there's not a song out there that doesn't relate to you in some way, form, or fashion. So it's,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, that's just the power of music. I know for me, my Nana was really the reason why I got into country music. And, she was just, she played it every day, 24/7. But I can always remember the first country song I ever heard was Loretta Lynn's Coal Miner's Daughter. And every time that I hear Coal Miner's Daughter, it's like I'm right back in my Nana's living room and I can see her cooking dinner. I mean, and just breakup songs, love songs. And it goes back to the thing about being a songwriter. It's like we get to create that. I mean, how freaking cool is that? It's an awesome thing, man.
It's timeless. The one thing that I like to ask independent artists like yourself is there one venue out there that you have not played yet that you just, it's on your bucket list? I mean, what's that dream venue that you've always wanted to play?
Oh, that's a great question. Without a doubt, the Grand Ole Opry, hands down. I would consider it the biggest honor just to be able to play there. If they ever did eventually make me a member, I don't know what I would do, but to me, that's just, that's country music. That's where it all started. That's the mother church. It's a very spiritual thing, and I've been to many an Opry show since moving to Nashville, and every time I'm just blown away. And if I ever get to stand in that circle, I could die the next day and be completely happy, But yeah, definitely the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow. And then with all of our listeners out there that are also independent artists that may be just starting, from your long road to get to where you are, what kind of advice can you give somebody just starting out? And, I think being an independent artist and making it like yourself, we've spoken to, Mitch Rossell and some other people in Nashville that are indie artists that, are being successful, just being, their own management team, so to speak. So in your experience, I mean, what kind of advice can you give somebody that wants to do the same?
I would say move to Nashville and be willing to work very hard. You need to figure out who you are and what it is you stand for, what you want to say as an artist. Don't let someone tell you that or tell you what you're supposed to look like or sound like or whatever. Like, be you. We have a Carrie Underwood and we have a Luke Bryan, we have a Morgan Wallen, but who are you? And do what you do and do it well. I would also say be willing to listen. Don't act like you know everything, because I can promise you, this town is full of just the best of the best. And if you're willing to show up and put in the work and listen, you can learn so much just from the people here and around you. And they're actually willing to share that information with you. And I think that's just one of the coolest things. But also just don't be discouraged. Some days are great. Some days not so much, but it's a valley, and just like life, it has its up and downs, and just be consistent, show up, work hard, and be consistent.
That's great advice. It's awesome. And then the last few years, I mean, I would say the last decade, let's say, I think country music has really come into its own as more of a mainstream genre. It's not just country's over here, and it's not going to be included in any of these award shows. And, country has really become, one of the mainstream genres. And not only that, but the collaboration between genres. There's a lot of country singers, hooking up with pop singers that are doing albums, and they're doing, rock singers sometimes are getting with, country singers. So talk about the evolution of country music in the last decade and how exciting that is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's super, super exciting. I think it's always really cool to collaborate. I think especially with people outside of your genre, you probably come up something more musically different, if you will, than what you would do if you hung out with just someone in your own genre. For me, it's like I'm very clearly a country artist. make my own style of it, but I play country music. And I'm always reminded of something though, because to me, it's really just all about the song. And I think, just again, knowing who you are and what you want and how you want to say it and all. But one of my favorite quotes was by Buck Owens, the founder clearly of Bakersfield Sound. And he had this really great thing where he would say, I will play no song that is not a country song. And then he would turn around and go into Johnny Be Good, with the script and rock and roll guitar and everything. But, it goes to show it's like, well, what is this and what is that? And just good music is just good music. So I think it's exciting. I think it's awesome.
That's 100% right. I think now, what are your thoughts about the saturation though of Nashville? Because I think behind Florida, Nashville is the one city where people are flocking to, like in droves, not just to get into country music, but just in general, because Nashville's such a great place to live and raise a family. So has it become more competitive for you? I mean, has it become one of those things where you're like, enough already? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like, to be fair, I mean, I moved to town in, 2016 is when I first moved here. And I have seen Nashville change an awful lot. I actually feel like when the pandemic hit, because, the thing about Nashville that I think maybe not a lot of people realize unless you really pay attention, Nashville not only went through the pandemic, which was terrible for our economy, so many venues and businesses and all just went out, but a lot of musicians, and whether that's singer, songwriter, guitar player, sound guy, whoever, they couldn't live here anymore. So they all up and left. We also had a bombing on Christmas morning. We also were hit with these tornadoes that literally wiped out whole cities surrounding Nashville and even part of downtown. So, I mean, Nashville's had a really, really rough couple of years. So for me, I've seen the change and I see the flock of people. I don't really feel though like a lot of the people that are moving here is for country music anymore. And I hate to say it, but if I'm all about honesty. To me, I actually wish I had more competition. I feel like I'm one of the few that is left that kind of knew what Nashville used to be like before the pandemic. I'm still here and doing my thing, and I'm very blessed to say that. And that's with a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices and stuff. But man, I think that a lot of people unfortunately just had to move away, and I think a lot of people that are moving here just think it's cool and hip to live here. So kind of turning it more into LA, if you will, than maybe Nashville. But maybe that won't be the case always. And just like anything else, things change. So I'm optimistic still.
I have to. I'm actually, as we were speaking, I'm pulling up your website, ashtaylor.com. For those listening, you got to pull up her website. It's so well done, and I know you were talking about this is something you really like to do. And I mean, even your brand, your logo is amazing. And the pictures and just everything about it and your sponsors. And I mean, it's really well done. And I know something that's mentioned on here is Ash Wednesdays. So before we get into your website, talk about Ash Wednesdays. I think it's a great idea.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Yeah, so Ash Wednesdays happens the first Wednesday of every single month over on my Facebook page at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's literally just a super fun hangout. My husband and I will go do a Facebook Live, and we sit and just talk with folks that tune in. We'll fill you in on like shows and different things coming up in case you're interested in attending an event or a show or something. We play music. Sometimes it's a cover tune. Sometimes it's original music. Sometimes I'll play you a song that like I just wrote and you're the first to hear it. So we just hang out. We have fun. And it's just a good time. We also do a giveaway every single month. So sometimes you get like a piece of Ash Taylor merch, or sometimes we have people sponsor an episode, and so we give away all kinds of things. We have like Web Western and Straight Haggard actually wearing one of their hats right now, and just different companies will come on and sponsor and give us some stuff to give away. And man, it's a blast. Though I tell you what, I always enjoy it, and just a way to connect with fans and kind of keep up to date and play some music and have some laughs.
And just so everybody knows, they also have handkerchiefs for dogs, which I think is amazing. I love it. I mean, everything on here is just so cool. And check out her merch. coffee mugs. I mean, you name it. She's got everything on here. So it's just so cool. Before we leave, Ash, I just want to ask you, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to walk away with when they hear Ash Taylor?
I hope that I inspire people. I think that's the big thing. I know for me, there's been a lot of people that have, been in my life that have definitely inspired me to do different things, but always just to be better. So, I look at women like Loretta Lynn and Gretchen Wilson and Brandy Clark, and I wish I was like them musically. And, they inspire me to get up every day and, write songs and just be better. Think of people like my Nana. I can think of so many people that just inspire me to be better. And if I could be that to someone else and help someone maybe put their life on a good course and encourage them to be the best version of themselves, I think that would be very rewarding for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're such on a great track, and you've already had success, and I think the sky's the limit for you. You're just such a down-to-earth person and so easy to talk to. And in fact, I was getting feedback from my last live show with you, and people were just amazed at how down to earth and gracious you were. So I appreciate that in any artist, and anybody listening who's an artist themselves. I mean, this is how you do it. You're the real deal. So again, just thank you for joining us again on the show. I know I apologize for the the technical difficulties last time, but just appreciate you jumping on again so we can put this on our platforms. And again, you're always welcome on the show again. But thank you, Ash Taylor. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, of course, thank you. And thank you for having me. And honestly, just appreciate you and all you do. And I wouldn't be able to get out there and share my music or my story if it wasn't for, people like you letting me come on your show. So thank you. Thank you so much.